friends, Jenny at Clover and Violet here, and today I'm going to show you how to sew the zipper and binding on your Rosa supply case. If you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to email me at hello@cloverandviolet.com. Alright, let's head over to the sewing machine and get started. Alright, so here we have our finished case body. It's been sewn together. And we've sewn in the bookmark, the zippers, sewn our seams right here to make our zipper pouches individual. And now we're going to add the outer zipper. So I have my outer zipper that I've marked every 2 inches. And this is going to help me to make sure that I place my zipper in the same place going all the way around the case. So when I pin the zipper at the top, this is probably the thing I get the most questions about, is how does this zipper look? I'm going to take the zipper and I'm going to fold it with the zipper tape going to the back. It's going to make this kind of shape right here. See the back of it? And then there's the front. And then I'm going to pin that right next to the bookmark. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I'm going to unzip my zipper all the way. Same thing for the other side. I'm going to fold it like so and then pin it right next to my bookmark. Alright, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to continue pinning around the zipper. Just give it a few pins to keep it in place. For the corner, you can either clip the corners or you can just kind of curl your corner around as you go. I'll show you a clip. So if you give your corner a couple of snips, just a couple, but you don't want to go too deep because then it will get into the part that's going to be the side of your case. The zipper is kind of going to create the space in your case. So there we have our zipper clipped, and I'm just going to keep pinning. Just a few pins is all you really need, enough to just keep it in place. Then let's clip this zipper again. Just kind of one at the first start of the turn. And then one more. And then see, there's your zipper. It's going to spread itself out nicely. And then we're going to keep going around the case. And then you're just going to stop again about the same distance from the center, and I pull my zipper up like this. So you're going to pin that down, pull my zipper up at a 45-degree angle, and then you're just going to sew right over this, and this is going to be totally fine. I'm going to repeat my pinning with the other side, and then I will take you to the sewing machine. Okay, so here we are at the sewing machine. We've already installed the zipper foot, pinned all of the zipper around the perimeter of the case, double checked that the lines that we've marked match up, and now we're ready to sew it. Since this zipper is going to become the extra width of your case, I like to sew pretty close to the edge, about, I would say, 1/8 of an inch from there. And then we'll sew the binding a little bit closer in. Sometimes I have to lift up my presser foot to make sure all those threads are pointing to the back. taking out our pins as we go. Now, when you get close to the zipper teeth, go slowly because this is where it can be really easy to break a needle. All right, we're reaching our corner now. Try to get my fingers out of the way so that you can see this. I always pull my zipper a little bit towards the back as I'm going, just to make sure that I don't create a pucker or anything. Okay, and we're just going to keep going like this all the way around the case until we have our zipper fully installed. Then we'll move on to binding. Okay, after we've sewn the zipper on both sides, but before we add the binding, you just want to double check that when you zip your case, it lines up neatly, that your marks match, and that it's not skewed to one side or the other. I'll just be honest, I've already done half of this zipper a second time because it's easy to get a little bit off. So please don't feel discouraged if your zipper is a little bit off. Now let's add our binding. Unzip your case again. Open it up. I'm always going to start my binding on the back side so that the final seam, which is a little more bulky, will be on the back of my case. Let me grab my binding. If you've made homemade binding and it has an edge like this, you're going to want that to be your outside edge. I'm going to step over to my iron and press this down 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now that we've pressed this, I'm also going to trim the excess. This way your binding is going to have a perfectly finished outside edge that's folded. Then we're going to take this binding and you're going to line it up again, like I said, with the back of your case, and you're just going to start sewing close to this seam. All right, let's take it to the sewing machine. Okay, we're back at our sewing machine. The zipper foot is still on. I'm going to take my binding with my folded edge and just start sewing right over the very edge of that binding. I'm sewing the binding over the zipper, but since this binding is cut on the bias, we need to be very careful not to stretch it when we get to the corner. So I'm going to stitch along, and then you can see my zipper under here. I'm going to pull my zipper teeth down as I get to my binding. And I'm just going to, again, tuck my binding a little bit toward the back. And also my zipper teeth, I want to kind of tuck to the back as I go around. Being really careful not to catch the zipper teeth in the stitching. And I'm just going to continue this around the case. Okay, now we've gone almost all the way around our case. We're back to the beginning where we folded that 1/4 inch and sewed it down. So what you're going to do is just lay your binding down and completely cover this piece. You want to sew past it at least about another 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to do that. Now my 2 pieces of bias are overlapping, and I've made it about a 1/4 inch past. I'm going to take up your foot, cut your threads, and then I'm just going to trim straight across this binding that is right now on the top, but will be the underneath. So now you have this right here. Then we're just going to overlap this fold right here, and when we fold our bias around, that's going to finish this edge like so, on the fold, on the diagonal. I am going to press this and then show you how it stitches up. Now that we've sewn the binding all the way around and overlapped our ends, we're just going to turn it all the way around to the front side. So turn your case over, pull your binding around, and then I am just going to hand stitch my binding in place just like I would on a quilt. So I'm just going to do this invisible stitch. Just like so. Catching a little bit of the case and the fold of the binding. And I'm just going to continue like this all the way around my case. When we get to the corners, I'm just going to gently tuck them around and ease your binding so that it makes a nice smooth corner edge. When you get to the corners, we're just going to tuck them around. When you get to the corners, we're just going to smooth them around and stitch in the same manner. When you're finished, your case will look like this.